Coming to you from Deck 96 of the Imperial Dreadnought. Don't worry, I'm fine.
Oh!
I am James Nimmons.
I'm Dave Ward.
And this is Pop Satellite. So this is pretty much going to be a con edition because we just got back from Jekyll Island Comic-Con this weekend.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun despite some problems that they weren't the con's fault. It was nature's fault. But
oh yeah.
some things like the swampy smell and
well, it was, I don't know. I guess because it is a barrier island and it is quite like only a small
an artificial island, right?
No. It's an actual like natural island. And only like a portion of it is actually developed for any sort of tourist or residential use, and like the rest of it is still just nature.
Swamp.
Yeah, swamp and nature. And so like I don't know how it is during the summer. It might be a little I don't know, it might be worse with the heat and humidity, but like I don't know. It was storming up our way, and then the storm system naturally moved towards the coast, and so we had a mixture of like the breeze coming off the ocean and the storm system moving in. So I don't know if it just stirred something up or what, but like yeah, there was like a very pungent, sulfury, methane-y smell
somewhere
in the
between
air.
paper mill and fart.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the water itself, I mean, like I said, this is not the con's fault. They live down there, so
The water tastes like the air smells.
Yeah, it smelled. Well, the water smelled too. It's like
swampy.
I was kind of like when I was brushing my teeth or taking
Recycled
a shower.
swamp water.
Yeah, so it has to be the fact that it's marshland right there at the ocean, and it's got.
I like when you were
more.
talking to the hotel people and you were
yeah.
How can you stand the smell? And the one old guy was like, smell? And I thought he was messing with you.
Yeah, because we had just had come back from getting something to eat, and this was like the night before we left out, and it stunk so bad that night. And this was after the con was over, it was done and over with, and it was like we get out of the restaurant, and it's like oh no, it's like the worst it's been all weekend. And we get back to the hotel, and we get out of the car, and it's still just as bad, because like when we get in the car, I hit the air recyclers. I'm like, no, we're not sucking any more of this in.
Yeah, at some point though, you cracked the window. I was like, it's just gonna let this dirty air out there out there in here.
So we get out of the car, and it's just as bad, and I'm like speed walking into the hotel.
The only place that doesn't really smell that swampy is inside. Yeah, inside it smells very faintly swampy.
Yeah, well, way less than it was outside anyway. So I get inside, and I'm just like, trying to catch my breath, and like the two people at the desk are just kind of looking at me, and I'm like, how do you guys stand the smell down here? And that's when the old guy gave the response that James just gave. And the girl behind the desk was like, what do you mean? I'm like, it stinks down here. I'm like, it smells like sulfur and fart, And she was like, oh, well, I guess we're just used to it, because I thought it kind of stunk when I first moved down here too. And I'm like, oh, really?
She was like, maybe the sprinklers are on. I'm like, that's silly.
And then she said, oh, it's actually worse when the sprinklers are on. And I'm like, lady, the sprinklers aren't on. It just stinks. So
yeah,
but I'm sitting there like, you get used to it? No, I couldn't get used to that.
Wouldn't want to be used to that.
No, so
that's bad.
that is our only complaint of the entire weekend.
And it was cold.
The island stunk. I mean, it was December.
It was pretty that it's cold, but it was cold. I got a couple of chills from the wind. And it wasn't because I was wearing a kilt either. I get cold on my neck, so it was where the wind was blowing down my collar of my jacket.
Well, like the Saturday night when like the storm front was moving in, and it was like competing with the sea breeze, we had like a nice 25-mile-an-hour cross breeze going on.
Yeah. Despite those rainy conditions, though, a lot of people did show up to that con. It was
absolutely.
It's still a small con, but it's bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Well, I mean, like, Brunswick is the town, and, like, the surrounding area itself, aside from that, is mainly, like, the coastal islands and, probably about 20 to 30 miles inland. And then there's not really much else. around that area. So for the population of the area and where it's at and everything, I mean, Jacksonville is the next closest big city, and I think that's like 60 miles away.
So before we get into it, we have to thank big thanks to Doug who puts it on. It's a good con.
Absolutely.
And we'll be back. Our friends said they're coming back. Our friends' friends are coming back.
Eds had a really awesome weekend as well. We hung out with them a lot.
So yeah, let's plug that, deadeds.com. That's our friends' online store. And they're not paying us to plug them. We're just doing it because we think their merchandise is kind of cool.
Yeah, I own a little bit of it.
And did we bring the books inside from that author you met gave us?
No, I think they're still in the car, actually, because I haven't completely unpacked yet.
Stranger, isn't his last name Stranger?
I think so.
Yeah.
We'll get it for next episode.
Yeah, met this nice author, and he hung around with us for a bit, and he had his table there, and he just gave us some books. Used to direct films, but I can't remember his first name now because that's terrible now. Just met the guy. I mean, but I was like, yeah, he goes, you like books? I'm like, sure, I devour books. Here you go. I'm like, dang, I didn't even have to pay for them. He gave you a whole trilogy that he wrote.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, George Lowe was there, so I mean, George is always a hoot to hang around with because he's just like. He still springs off the one-liners. He admitted he was very tired. He had been doing a lot of cons that year.
He's old.
Yeah. He admitted he was old and he was like a puddle of goo.
I saw him stop though for a little kid, and that was awesome. His parent was like, "That's Space Ghost," and the kid was like, "Really?" And they were like, "Space Ghost," and he turns around and he comes back and gives the little kid a moment, so it was nice.
All I had to do, like, he had a panel, and there was like, I mean, there was a good many people in there, but like, all I had to do was ask him, like, how did you get your start? And like, he went off on like, we went from like the beginning, and talked about how he just like waltzed into a radio station and just like, you need a weekend guy here, just like, and everybody loved him, and like it kind of just took off from there. And that's cool that it's so old school. You get to hear so many old school stories like that because that
getting
can't
discovered
happen these days.
No, it can't. You just, who do you know? You have a following. You gotta already have some success to get some success.
Oh yeah, and then like back then, all he had to do was go in and rattle off a couple of funny one-liners to the radio head, and then. You got the weekend, kid.
Yeah.
All right.
I like this guy. And good old Space Ghost.
So, yeah, the Jekyll Convention Center is actually very large, very spacious. There was a lot of walking room. There was
a lot of panel room.
Yeah, I never once felt like that. Like there was any sort of crowding issue. Like vendors were nicely spaced apart. The girl that was walking on the 6-foot stilts had no problem getting through the crowd, despite getting stopped a lot. I
don't see how she stayed up.
Quite well laid out. The panels, the panel rooms were nice as well. So I mean, overall, it's a really good con. I think
the nightlife should have been in one of the hotels, though.
Well, that's what I was about to get at. You and me both. Like our whole crowd, we're party hounds. We'll admit it. I mean, we are press, but we do like to party because that's how we got our start.
That's how you meet people.
Yeah, so we still don't shy away from it. It's part of it. So, the Wee Pub where the night entertainment was held.
They have great food, but not enough space for people to mingle.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a con crowd, we kind of need to find,
Get one of those hotel ballrooms.
I was gonna say this is just my suggestion anyway.
Hotels love it because they can wheel a bar in there.
I have seen like they were building like a couple of larger hotels while we
were there. Yeah,
we were there. So that would be my suggestion, is to improve the nightlife somewhat and not have it in just a bar. But to maybe expand a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, take a page from Con Nuga and get anyone who's planning to throw a party to say so beforehand, so you can put them all in the same spot together, and encourage people to check them all out. And it's just cooler that way, and having all your ruckus in the same spot, you can watch it better. And because people come to cons for this as well, for the fraternization and all that stuff.
Right.
More than panels, more than dealer's room and vending and all that. A lot of people come to be with their friends as well.
But that's just us as well.
It just makes a good con to have something else to do like that.
Yeah, and with it being in December, you want you're gonna be inside because it's gonna be chilly at the very least outside, even at the beach. So having a wider space for night entertainment would be ideal. Mm-hmm. That would be my only suggestion, really, or our only suggestion per se, because the rest of the convention is just great.
So next convention we're going to go to, that's going to be Days of the Dead
in January.
In January
in Atlanta. We've got the Hellraiser reunion.
Yeah. There's another reunion going on too.
There's
some cast.
Some guys from Japan coming.
Oh yeah. There's Ultraman and
one of the guys,
Godzilla.
One of the guys that was Godzilla. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll have translators or won't need translators.
We'll see. I
don't mind speaking through a translator.
No, not at all. It's going to be cool to talk to them both. And, of course, they're adding to their guest list, so we'll see what comes of that. Clive
Barker. We're going to try to get an interview with Clive Barker.
Doug Bradley for sure.
For our other videos that we have on our YouTube. If you noticed, if you've gone to the YouTube channel, which you can do if you're listening to our podcast on the website, you can right-click or double-click on the thing, and it'll say listened on YouTube. Or if there's a YouTube symbol, you just click that. Usually it's down in the bottom right. But you can go to our YouTube channel, which is Nerd Nation TV Channel 2, CH2. And we have interviews there as well as our podcast, which is labeled Pop Satellite, so there's no confusion. But it's both us. It's just that the interview stuff was video and you can see us, so we put that as TV, Nerd Nation TV. And so we're hoping to get Clive Barker. Maybe we'll be able to get close to him and ask him some things. Doug Bradley's very approachable, so I'm pretty sure we'll get him. I'd like to talk to Bill again.
Bill Moseley?
Bill Moseley.
Oh,
I almost called him Bill Moyers, which is a politician sort of guy. Bill Moseley.
Sorry about that, Bill.
he probably knows who I'm talking about, too. Who else is normally there? There's a lot of people that are just about at every Days of the Dead.
PJ Souls, she's going to be there. She's usually there.
There's usually some random wrestlers. I want to get a couple of interviews.
Yeah, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, I saw were announced. Yeah,
we've got to get a good interview with them.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're equipped for that, but certainly try to get some time.
You said them. Wrestlers, and it just clicked. I remember seeing Scott Hall and Kevin Nash the other day. So
we're gonna put up. I'll put some pictures up on the blog, or here on the website somewhere. I'll add a page if you're listening to us there. We do have a blog which covers our con activity, and since we started it, we've only gone to one con, so it's kind of dead at the moment looking, but we're going to keep adding to that. I have to add pictures from the one we just went to, and we're going to start an Instagram soon. We'll keep you updated on that if you want to follow us on Instagram. We don't have one as of yet. Oh, I found something. It's a secret, though, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. No, it's just my phone. It just makes really cool sounds. I should have silenced it, but who cares? It's retro. Last Days of the Dead we went to was a lot of fun. I started having a good time when I noticed that there was a midget there, or little person, whichever one you choose. I said both, so choose the one you want. Before you get mad at me.
He was dressed as the goblin, little evil goblin. So yeah. I mean, he
was a goblin.
He was hamming his own,
Right. He wanted the attention.
Up.
Yeah. I was just like, can I take your picture? He's like 2.5 feet tall. He was like mini me sized. It wasn't a child.
No one was making fun of him, and we're not making fun
No.
of him because the costume was ingenious.
No,
you know?
but when I saw him, I started having a good time. When I saw him, I was like, "Oh my God, we got goblins!" You know you're at a party when you got the goblins. Not every party has goblins. We have goblins at this party.
It wasn't the sword swallow, and it wasn't the casket creatures and Elsa. It was the goblins.
It was the goblins. I'm sure they'll appreciate us dropping their names too. They're usually at Days of the Dead Atlanta. If you haven't looked into that or heard about it before, it is a horror convention, but it's also a lot of fun. It also has a fun dealer's room and fun atmosphere, lots of panels. You can ask questions. You can meet a lot of... Sometimes they have rock stars, too. I don't know who they've got scheduled for Atlanta, but they usually have a rock star, too. Last time they had Vinnie Vincent and Dee Snider.
Yeah, that was at Charlotte.
Oh, that was at Charlotte. Yeah, who did they have at Atlanta?
I don't remember if there were any...
There was a rock star there.
I don't remember...
But I
know the Rock and Roll Express. I know we were talking to the Rock and Roll Express.
That was in Charlotte too.
No, that was in Atlanta.
Was it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you're right. It was Atlanta. They run together. We go to so many of these things. Oh yeah, we got a moment with the Rock and Roll Express,
which was fun.
We got to hear
Those guys
stories
are awesome.
About how Jim Cornette had a horseshoe in his damn tennis racket.
Had to hit somebody one night that tried to attack him.
Yeah, it's funny. It's awesome too. When I was a kid, I never thought I would get a chance to hang out with the Rock and Roll Express, and I loved them as a child. So I mean, I loved wrestling. It was just a pastime, American pastime. After school, wrestling. Saturdays, wrestling.
Oh yeah,
and cartoons, but wrestling.
Yeah, we're showing our age there a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine. That's the demographic we're going after. But I wanted to get people hooked in on these cons that we go to, so that's why this whole episode's about talking about cons.
And then
Days of the Dead is a great one. I have a lot of fun, and it's also a smaller con. Maybe how many people would you say come to that? About 2,000, maybe. Well,
Atlanta, I would probably say closer to about 3 or 4. That was probably about 2,500 at Charlotte.
Yeah, I guess if you're counting coming through and counting each day separately, even though some of that's the same people for both days.
I mean, I'm talking like overall, like 1 days and multi-days and,
Overall?
Yeah. So, I mean, Atlanta's been around a lot longer. This is presumably if they do Charlotte again, which I think they are, Charlotte will get bigger. But Atlanta, like I said, I'm thinking Atlanta pulls around 3,000 to 4,000 at least, if not an even 5 right now, which is still not very large, which I'm not opposed to. It's a very genre-specific convention, and not everyone likes horror.
No, but you can go if you like partying. You can go if you like weird toys and T-shirts and movies and that kind of thing. You don't have to go simply because you're a horror fan. I mean, that's the focus, but you don't have to go to any panels. You can still have a lot of fun just looking at the costumes and meeting people and talking to them and just people watching.
Yeah,
people watching. Take a group of your friends and just look at all the freaks who are, out. Take pictures. It's encouraged.
But then after that, we jump into February, which I'm kind of glad that Days of the Dead and Connuga, which is at the end of February, I think they're about a month apart because we're going to be woe out.
Yeah.
Because we just got finished with Jekyll, and now I got the holidays, and now, So, I mean...
Con season's picking up for us.
Connuga, though, we've done it. This will be...
5th year for us?
No.
We started in 2011.
Okay, me personally...
You went in 2010.
No, me personally, I started with Connuga number 2, which was back in 2011, I think. Because this is their 12th year.
I know you had been once, and you took me the second time you went. And that was in 2011.
So it was 2010 then. Yeah. But Connuga, I think this is their 12th. It's either their 12th or 13th year. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 12th. And I've done all but the very first one. Todd Patton, the founder, and his group, outstanding people.
They know exactly what they're doing, and I would call this con a medium-sized con.
Yes.
It's big, the biggest of the small cons that we go to, and it over its weekend, it gets somewhere between, I would say,
6,000 and 7,000.
Yeah, something like that. I was going to say like 6 and 10, but yeah, seven or 8 is about the top.
I think he's bumping about 7 right now.
Yeah, and it's fun. And they're the ones that they don't discourage people to throwing parties, but they do encourage you to make your party public. You don't have to, but if you do, you can enter a party competition and win a place the next year to throw your party in a room, and you win $500, and that keeps the competition going.
But he also gets a lot of involvement from Chattanooga and the surrounding area. A lot of the charity organizations. The Girl Scouts are always out there selling cookies. Those evil things.
I'm sure they sell completely out.
Yeah, they do, of course.
Fast. I bet they bring extra cookies.
And then Humane Society's out there, and they've got so he brings in a lot of the surrounding community as well to be involved in the convention. He's one of the forerunners right now of consistently bringing food trucks out to the convention, which I want to see more conventions do. You've got your local restaurants in surrounding areas, but
food trucks just bring variety.
They bring variety, and you would be amazed at how popular they are at a con. Instead of trying to hunt down a restaurant a few blocks away, if you had a line of food trucks, they would, your
people aren't going to go anywhere. They're going to stay near the con.
Tons of involvement from sources like that. And Todd has consistently done that for probably like 8 or 9 years now, that he's brought food trucks out to the convention. And gigantic hit. It doesn't affect the surrounding restaurants in the town, because all the con goers are going to try just about everything. With that many people coming to a convention, everybody's going to make something. Everybody's going to do well. So stop being selfish if your local organization is keeping food trucks or the like from setting up for some odd reason. There's enough to go around, trust me.
Yeah, we had so much fun, this weekend, though. We were planning on doing our podcast recording there, and
then we got run out of gas.
We were either having too much fun or wanting just to rest. And it really wasn't a very active con. Usually there were bigger cons where you do lots and lots and lots of walking. So get used to that. If you want to start doing this sort of thing, you're going to get in shape, better shape than you are, because we're all fat nerds, but my legs are like rocks. Especially when I do Dragon Con. I do so much walking during that weekend. I'm sure I lose weight. And my legs feel like tree trunks when I come home.
Connuga is honestly the same way.
Yeah, I do a lot of walking for Connuga. But you do it willingly because you're walking towards lots of fun. There's all kinds of fun things to do. There's events and panels and discussions. Some that are adults only. What else is there going on? There's games and competitions and tournaments and all that sort of thing. There's lightsaber dueling. There's drunken big wheel racing, like big Gallagher big wheels for adults.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's tons of fun.
Oh man,
but you donate the money that you donate to all of this, it's all going to charity. So there is a noble cause behind getting drunk and racing a big wheel.
Yeah, they assume that people want to do that. That a lot of your con drunks are going to be like, big wheels, yeah, and throw their money at it, and that's a great way to get money for charity.
One of the biggest hits.
Yeah, so popular. Let's see, that's February. What are we doing next after Connuga? Do you remember?
Well, we're already set for Days of the Dead in Charlotte.
When is that?
That's in May.
Okay, so nothing in March and April.
I'm not at current. No, that'll be our recovery period from the triathlon that is
right.
Jekyll, Days of the Dead, and Connuga, and then Con Carolina is I think that's the start of June, or July. No.
Yeah.
So May and June, we got Days of the Dead Charlotte and Con Carolinas, which is also in Charlotte.
All these cons, if you go to like www.connuga.com or concarolinas.com, you'll find the homepages with all their rules and where they are, location, rates, all that kind of stuff, memberships, whatever you want to call it. And if you're interested in going to cons, which I've made it my life's goal to make people interested in going to cons. That's just some of the best ways to spend your time is going to a con and talking to other geeks. And it's like a big family reunion.
It is.
It's a release. You can relax, especially if you're a nerd about something. If it's physics, there's people talking physics. If it's wrestling, there's people nerding out over that. If it's regular sports, there's people that are doing that. So there's something for everybody usually. And people don't realize these spaces exist still, even with the popularity of cons. They don't, a lot of people go through their lives not going to cons. I don't see how they live. I don't see how they live. This is just, it's better than Christmas and your birthday. It's like Christmas, your birthday, and Halloween all rolled into one. That's what a good con is.
And the more exhausted you leave the con, the better the time you had.
Yeah, you had fun because you hurt. What was that rule? 2, 2, and 3?
No, it's 5, 2, and 1. The 5, 2, 1 rule. 5 hours of sleep, at least 2 meals a day.
Right, and 1 shower.
Take a shower. We could go on a whole nother 30-minute rant about things that should happen at every convention that will not. And people not taking a shower for days on end is at the top of the list of the gag train.
Right, because you're going to be sharing bathroom spaces with the people in the public.
You could just walk past someone.
That too. And like,
there are some
furries, wash your fursuits.
No, just take a shower, change your clothes, hygiene. Because I don't like walking through a crowd and nearly gagging and collapsing because someone has not taken a shower for 3 days.
Yeah, and I start thinking, what kind of germs are on their skin?
That's disgusting.
Very disgusting. So, yeah, shower, please. And
I'm going to stop right there because, like I said, I could go for another, a half hour on.
I'm going to say something. Dudes with beards, wash your beard. Your beard can smell worse than your ass.
That goes
beard oil is your friend, and it does go along with hygiene. But some people, it is possible to get in a shower and not get your beard wet without not even trying. I know from experience. I jumped in the shower, assumed my beard got wet, and it didn't.
Oh.
So I come out, I'm like, hey, it's dry, fuck. So, beard oil and soap and all that's your friend. Use it. It exists for a reason. And underarm deodorant.
So, yeah. That's what
another
I was about to say. Soap, shampoo, deodorant.
You're going to be around crowds of people. You don't want to be remembered for that.
And you don't know. And taking a shower in Axe body spray does not count.
No. I mean, that stuff's not to poo-poo Axe. They got some good smells, but that's not a shower.
No, you use that very, very sparingly.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're out of time this time. Tune in next week to hear more of our rantings and ravings. And until we see you again, may you navigate the internet safely.
Take it easy.
See you later. It's still going.